Hi, everybody. I am Michelle from Consolidated Planning Group, Michelle Morris. We are so happy to be here today to provide you with some great information regarding government benefits and how to take advantage of those benefits for your loved one if they have any sort of developmental or intellectual disability. I'm Michelle Morris from Consolidated Planning Group. A couple of housekeeping items before we get started. I cannot see you or hear you, but I know that you're out there. We're in webinar mode. So if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the chat box. I will not be allowing people to unmute themselves. So just put any questions or comments that you have into the chat box. I will try to get to as many of those as I possibly can. And if I miss your question or comment and you would like to discuss, feel free to reach out to me. I put my phone number and email address in the chat box. We can schedule a free consultation for you if you would like to chat with me about any questions you might have. So we should be here for about an hour today. And since I can't hear you or see you, you might as well just enjoy your lunch and your snacks. And you will receive the recording or the link to the recording for this webinar later today in your email. So first of all, who am I? Who are we? And why should you even be listening to us? Well, Consolidated Planning Group is a holistic financial planning firm that focuses on helping families with a loved one who have any kind of intellectual or developmental disability prepare and plan for the future. So we have over 30 years of experience in financial services like life insurance and securities, investments, things like that. But about 90 some percent of all the families that we help have individuals in their lives who have a disability. It's not just something that we do once in a while. This is something that we do all of the time. We're an independent firm based just outside of Houston, and we work all across Texas and all across the United States. So some of the things in today's presentation might only be available to people who are in Texas, but many of the things are also available nationwide, and we can help you either way. We are members of the Special Needs Planning Academy. We're also nationally certified as Social Security advisors, and I am a chartered special needs consultant through the American College of Financial Planning. So families come to us for things like protection plans, protecting their families in case the main breadwinner maybe can't work anymore, becomes disabled, or passes away. We talk about lifetime care planning, thinking about those future costs of care for your loved one. Once you're gone and you're not here to take care of them anymore, they're going to need some help from you still. So we discuss how to use a special needs trust to be able to take care of your loved ones. We do a lot of transition planning. There are three main transition periods in your young one's life. And that's very important to plan for those things. The first period when they turn 18 and all of a sudden they're an adult in the eyes of the law. A lot happens when they turn 18 that you need to be on the lookout for. The second transition period is when they graduate from high school. You don't want them to just graduate to the sofa. You want them to have a meaningful, full life out there. So what can they do beyond high school and what opportunities are available? We can help you plan for those. And we can also help you plan for the transition that's going to occur when your loved one moves from your home into their residential community or group home or into the home of a family or friend or relative who is going to be helping them out in the future. So there's a lot for you to think about. We help families set up ABLE accounts and understand how to use their ABLE account versus their special needs trust. And we're here to advocate for you and to educate you on what needs to be done. There are over 263,000 financial advisors across the United States. And out of those 263,000, fewer than 200 of us really focus on helping families like yours and understanding the nuances of the laws and regulations that surround special needs planning. So you are truly with an expert when you are talking to Consolidated Planning Group. It's basically fewer than 0.1% of all the financial advisors in the United States who focus on these topics the way that we do. So today, one of the first things that I want to help you understand is the difference between SSDI and SSI. So SSDI is Social Security Disability Insurance. It goes by many different names that all mean the same thing. SSDI is also referred to as RSDI. It can refer to DAC, Disabled Adult Children Benefits. It can refer to CDB, Childhood Disability Benefits. But whatever acronym you're using, SSDI is a source of payment that comes from the Disability Trust Fund. It's an insurance that people earn by working and paying into Social Security taxes. So really, if your child is unable to work, then when you turn on your Social Security retirement benefits as an adult, as a parent, your child will be able to draw from your benefits based on your work record, since they cannot work for themselves. And it does not take their income and resources into account when they're thinking about eligibility. So you have to be disabled since childhood, and there has to be an adult who meets the insured status requirements for that loved one with a disability. So on the other hand, SSI, it stands for Supplemental Security Income. It comes from the general tax revenue, not Social Security trust funds. It's a need-based public assistance program that does not require anybody to have a work history. It's not related to anybody's work history. It pays disabled individuals who are unable to work and who have very limited income and resources. Benefits for children and adults, you have to be in financial need. This really takes your finances, your assets, and your income into account. For example, the asset limit is $2,000. You cannot have more than $2,000 in a bank. You cannot be making more than the substantial gainful amount monthly income. So how does this all work? What happens when a parent turns on their Social Security? So basically, this is the timeline of how your benefits will work. First of all, when your child is diagnosed as having a disability, the first thing that you want to do, no matter what age they are, is get them on the waiting list for the waiver programs in your state. Here in Texas, those waiting lists can be 20 years. So whether your child is an infant or an adult, if they're not on that waiting list yet, you need to get your child on the waiting list for the waiver programs. Now, some states do not have waiting lists at all. You're able to sign up for the programs and get services right away. That is not the case here in Texas. So at age 18, your child should be able to qualify for SSI benefits, because at age 18, they're not going to look at mom and dad's income and assets anymore. They're going to only look at the child's assets and income. So even if your child was unable to qualify for SSI as a minor because you made too much money, starting at age 18, they should be able to qualify under their own assets and income and get their SSI benefit. When they qualify for SSI, they will also get Medicaid. So that will happen around age 18 once they turn on their SSI benefits. So then they should be going through life for several years with their SSI, receiving that payment from the government every month and their Medicaid. And then they'll be on that for several years. Then when the parent turns on their Social Security retirement benefits, or if the parent becomes disabled or passes away, the parent, whatever reason, turns on their Social Security, then the child will switch from SSI to SSDI. After they make that switch, and they are on SSDI benefits for 2 years, then they will be able to have Medicare. And they'll keep their Medicaid, but they'll also have Medicare, so they'll be dual eligible. So that's the ideal timeline. And there are certain cases where maybe if a parent has passed away before the child turns 18, the child might already be on SSDI benefits. There are some pros and cons to that situation, but we can talk you through that if you have questions. And again, if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the chat box. So to be able to qualify as having a disability, you have to have a physical or mental impairment. The disability has to be expected to last at least 12 months or result in your death. They do take into consideration your age, whether you are in school or not, and your past work activity. And you have to be unable to perform substantial work activity. If you can go to work and earn money for yourselves over the substantial gainful amount, then they say that you're not truly disabled because you can go to work and you can work for yourself. So I do see some questions in the chat box. In order to get SSDI, the payment that comes under a parent's record, does the child have to have been on SSI before that? No. SSDI is not based on any criteria other than the fact that you cannot work, but your parent worked. There are no income rules. There are no asset rules for SSDI. Now, there are income and asset rules for SSI and for Medicaid. And you want to be sure that even if your child does not need to have the income limit or asset limit to qualify for SSI benefits, they still are going to want to be able to qualify for Medicaid. So you still want to keep them under those limits. But no, you do not have to have been on SSI in order to get SSDI. Substantial work activity, we're going to get to that, and how to apply, we'll get to that one too. So substantial gainful activity for the year 2024, that limit is $1,550 a month. So if your child is making more than $1,550 a month, then they will not qualify for SSI benefits. If they're making less than $1,550, they should still qualify. However, their amount will be reduced. Now, if you are blind, you are allowed to make up to $2,590 a month as your substantial gainful activity before they would turn off your SSI benefits. Okay, so again, these benefit amounts change each year. So right now, the benefit for SSI is $943 a month, and if you're an individual. If you are a couple, you're married, and both individuals in that married couple have a disability, then, you would think the amount would be double $943 a month, but it's not. It's only $1,415 a month if you have a married couple where they are both disabled. These amounts change a little bit each year. The substantial gainful amount will change for 2025. As you can see, it changed from 2023 to 24, and it will again go up in 2025 a little bit. So will the benefit rates. They will go up a little bit for 2024. So at that point, we will update these slides and let you know what the amount is going to be. So let's look at a couple of questions in the chat box. I see the question, how to apply for SSI. We're going to get to that. Generally, so this person is saying, how do I apply for SSI? My 8-year-old is autistic and doesn't receive any benefits yet. So if your child is only 8 years old, then they're going to look at the parent's income and assets for SSI benefits. So if you as a parent are making more than $1,550 a month, as it shows on this substantial gainful activity page, if you're making more than that amount, your child will not be able to get SSI benefits until they turn 18. If you as a parent have more than $2,000 in any resources, if you have more than one car and one home, your child will probably not qualify for SSI benefits until they turn 18, okay? So don't be surprised, Tracy, if your child cannot get SSI until they're 18 years old. Okay, my daughter is 21 and received SSI since she was 7. Her dad just turned on his Social Security benefits this month. Should I apply for SSDI for my daughter, or does it turn on automatically? So when you turn on your Social Security retirement benefits, or in this case, if your spouse turns on retirement benefits, either disability benefits, or they retire, or if they pass away, you do need to let the Social Security Administration know to turn on your child's benefits. Now, you do want to wait until your child has SSI on their own and has Medicaid on their own before you turn them over to SSDI benefits, because if you skip that step, then they might not be able to qualify for SSI. And if that is the situation, then they would not be able to qualify for Medicaid. You'll have to wait 2 years for them to qualify for Medicare, and they would be missing out on that benefit. So you really want to make sure that your children are qualified for SSI and Medicaid before you switch them over to SSDI and Medicare. Okay. So the Blue Book is going to help you in terms of figuring out if the Social Security Administration is going to consider your child to be disabled. I've spoken with some clients who have said, well, my child has autism and maybe ADHD and, maybe some other things. I'm not sure if they're going to qualify for SSI because of their disabilities. Well, this is where you would check, and you can look at the Blue Book and look up every diagnosis your child has and see if they will qualify for benefits under the eyes of Social Security. Now, you want to make sure that their medical history shows all of these diagnoses. So maybe your child has autism and scoliosis and anxiety. So you look up those 3 diagnoses in the Blue Book, and it will tell you if your child has autism. They need to show these things in order to be considered disabled. If your child has scoliosis, you need to show these things to show that your child is disabled. And maybe they won't qualify under the rules for autism, but maybe they will qualify under the rules for scoliosis or anxiety or any of their other diagnoses. So you do need to check, and it is quite confusing. That's one of the reasons it takes so long to get a diagnosis from the Social Security Administration. Because they really do dig into your child's medical records and look to see that they are considered disabled. So please take a look at the Blue Book. This link should work when you receive these slides later on today. If the link does not work, please let me know if any of these links don't work, because I can update them in the slides and get that fixed. But no, nothing ever really happens automatically with the government. You have to let them know. So the maximum income, what is the maximum income for a household for qualifying an SSI for a minor? You're going to want to use Google for that one or speak to the Social Security Administration. Generally, it's the maximum income if your child is a minor is going to be $3,000 a month, depending on how many people you have in your household. So you should go ahead and apply for SSI the day after your child turns 18. This link, oops, I'm sorry, guys. Trying to run the chat box and the slides at the same time. And sometimes my mouse is in the wrong spot. Anyway, to apply for SSI, you're going to go online to this website and start that application on the day of or after your child turns 18. If you start this application before they turn 18, you're going to delay the process and have troubles. So start after they turn 18, go to this website and start your application. Now, the process can take up to a year or sometimes even longer to get your benefits turned on, but they will backdate your benefits to the day that you start this application. So it is very beneficial to start on the day of their birthday. You're going to want to have evidence that proves that your child has a disability. You're going to need your child's doctor's information to fill out this application. So it's a good idea to gather up their medical history before you get started. You're going to want that physician's name and address, all of their contact information, diagnosis history, a list of what medications your loved one is on. If they are working, then we're going to have to see pay stubs and their bank account to make sure they're not making too much money at work and that they don't have too much money in the bank account. So what happens when you apply for those SSI benefits? Again, the process can take more than 6 months to make sure that you're qualified. Your local Social Security office will send all of your file to the Disability Determination Services. Now, here in Texas, that is in Austin, but every state does have Disability Determination Services, where they're going to really dig into your file and dig into your medical history and make sure that your child qualifies. What we see is that sometimes when you fill out that initial application, they also fill out an application for your SSDI benefits. And as I told you, unless you are turning on your Social Security benefits as an adult because you're retiring or you're disabled or an adult passed away, you should not qualify for SSDI. But sometimes we're finding that when you apply for SSI, they're doing both applications for you on your behalf. And you will get a letter that says that you are not qualified for SSDI benefits. That's correct. you don't want SSDI yet. You want SSI. So if you get an immediate denial, make sure you look at those letters very carefully to determine whether they're denying you for SSI or SSDI. Once your record goes to the Disability Determination Services office, you can call that office in your state. The number for the one in Austin is there on the screen. You can find out if they've received your file, if your file has been assigned to somebody at their office, and if they've gotten all the medical records they need, or if you need to reach out to your doctors to get those sent in. What you just said is make sure they qualify for SSI in order to turn on SSDI. Okay, that's not what I said. Let's start over on that concept to make sure it's very clear to everybody. You're not required to have SSI in order to have SSDI. That is not a requirement. However, it is a highly recommended situation because if you turn on SSDI before you turn on SSI, you're skipping the part where you get Medicaid for your child. And if you skip that part where your child gets Medicaid, then you might not ever be able to get Medicaid for your child. So you need to go slow and make sure that when your child turns 18, you turn on their SSI and you get Medicaid before you turn on SSDI and then start that 2-year wait process for them to get Medicare. If you turn on SSDI first, you're not going to have Medicaid. You're going to go for 2 years without any additional benefits, Medicaid or Medicare for your child. And you're going to be kind of stuck. You're going to feel that pinch. And if you turn on those benefits, the SSDI and Medicare, too early, your child could be denied Medicaid for the rest of their lives. I hope that makes more sense. Okay, I see some questions coming up about ABLE accounts. We're going to get to that. I see questions, are we going to get a copy of these slides? Yes, you are. Should the specific diagnosis be listed in the Blue Book? So, Sandra, yes, a rare genetic disease, sometimes they're not listed specifically in the Blue Book, especially if it's a rare disease. So you might need to look up the section of the Blue Book where it talks about neurological diseases or spinal issues or, psychological diseases. Look under those sections and figure out the best of your ability where that disability lies and what criteria they are looking for. Okay. So I see your questions. I'm going to stop with the questions for a minute, get back to some slides, and then go back. So I did say that it could take up to a year to process your application to check to make sure that your child has a disability under the eyes of Social Security and all of that. Now, there is something that they call a presumptive disability. And what this is if your child has a disability that is on this list, the compassionate allowance list, then they're going to be able to fast track that SSI application because unlike this rare medical condition that they've never heard of before, they know with the things on this list that your child is most likely not going to be able to work. It's not something that's going to go away. It's something that is going to last the rest of their lives. And because they know those things, they can go ahead and fast track your application. These are things like if you are missing a leg, it was amputated at the hip. That's not going to change. That is always going to make it hard for you to be able to work. So they consider that a presumptive disability. Some of the others are things like total deafness or blindness, cerebral palsy, muscular dystrophy, Down syndrome. If you're confined to a bed or a wheelchair, a walker, crutches, um, if you had a stroke and you cannot walk or use your hands or arms, if you have an intellectual disability that is keeping you from being able to perform basic self-care, or if you have autism, but it has to come with that inability to take care of yourself. It can't just be any intellectual disability or any autism. So these are some of the presumptive disabilities. And if your loved one has one of these, they will be able to get their SSI benefits approved a little bit more quickly. Now, you can work and still get SSI. You just cannot earn more than $1,550 a month. So what happens if your child is working? This shows a little bit of a math equation that explains how they figure out how much money to pay your child in SSI benefits if they are working. So let's say, for example, that your child earns $1,200 gross monthly income. First, they take off $85 as standard deductions. $85 of that will immediately not count. Then they're going to take the remaining amount and divide that in half, and that is your countable income. So in this example, the countable income is $557.50. They take that number and subtract it from the full benefit amount, the $943, and you can see that the amount left over, $385.50, would be payable in SSI benefits. So your child would receive that monthly check for $385.50, and they would get Medicaid, and that would be their SSI benefit if they were working. Okay, so that's the situation. Now, if they are working and also going to school, there is something called the student earned income exclusion. They can earn a little bit more money before they start figuring out how much SSI your child is going to get. You have to ask for this. Your child has to be under age 22 and regularly attending school and working. So if your child meets those criteria, they can make a little bit more money before they start reducing their SSI benefits. And again, you have to call the Social Security Administration to ask for this. Okay, so let's check on some of the questions in the chat box. If you have savings accounts set up for your child, should you keep them under a certain level to keep from being denied? Yes, if your child has a savings account or a checking account, any kind of bank account, and they're getting close to age 18, you need to get that bank account cut down to under $2,000. If your child has money in a bank account of any kind, it has to be under $2,000. And that's combined. If they have 1,000 in checking and 1,500 in savings, that won't work. You have to get it under $2,000 total for them to be eligible to get SSI benefits. We have class right now. That is one of the waiver programs. We have the class waiver, and we came up on the list for HCS. Good for you. I'm so happy for you. HCS and class are two of the waiver programs here in Texas. We are going through the process now. Do we need to wait to apply for SSI until after we have HCS, the waiver program? The waiver programs are separate from SSI and SSDI. It does not matter what order you do those in. Okay, the Red Book, another Social Security reference guide. This one is going to talk about employment and employment related provisions to the Social Security programs. So I did not make this a link. Sorry about that. If your child is working, you might want to check out the Red Book for more answers on work. So let's talk a little bit about child support. We're going to get to class and the other waiver programs. So let's go on and talk about child support very quickly. We know that unfortunately, divorce is very, very common in families where there are disabilities and disabled children. So you can get child support beyond age 18 for your disabled child. But if that is the situation in your family, you need to make sure that that child support goes to a first party special needs trust. So let me explain a little bit about that, what that is. First of all, your child can have money in a special needs trust that will not count against them for their benefits in terms of income or assets. You can have money for your child in a special needs trust. There are two different kinds of special needs trusts. The third party special needs trust is the ideal. That is where you're going to leave your life insurance, any assets that you want to leave to your child, like your investments. Those things go to the third party special needs trust. There are no limits on how much money you can put into the third party special needs trust. There is no Medicaid reimbursement from the third party special needs trust. And that's why that's the best place to save money for your loved one. However, if that money belongs to your child, that would be child support. That would be if your child has some kind of legal settlement, it would go to the first party special needs trust. If somebody in your family, like grandma or grandpa, accidentally leave money outright to your child instead of leaving it to the third party trust, then it would have to go into the first party special needs trust. So the difference is that the first party trust is your child's money. There's still no limit on how much you can put in, but there is a Medicaid reimbursement clause that states that when your child passes away, if there's still money in that first party special needs trust, Medicaid can come back and claim reimbursement for the funds that they have paid to help your child throughout your child's life. So that's not the end of the world. And I mean, it's a good rule. Medicaid does a lot for our children. We should give them a little bit of reimbursement. But you might want to use the first party special needs trust money first so that the Medicaid doesn't get all of their money. So again, child support has to go to the first party special needs trust. If it's not set up that way up front in your divorce decree, it's an easy thing to go back and change, but it would cause your child to lose out on benefits if they're receiving child support. So please be careful with that. Again, it should be relatively easy if both parents agree. Okay. So what are some of the criteria? Oh, I'm sorry. Let's wait. Hold on. For SSDI, to be entitled to SSDI or RSDI or DAC, disabled adult child, or CDB, child disability benefits, you have to be over age 18. The disability has to have begun before your child turned 22 years old. The child has to be the dependent of a parent who has worked and who has earned insurability status through Social Security. You cannot be married and receive SSDI. This is the second thing I've mentioned. I don't know if you've paid close attention, but this is the second thing that I've mentioned where marriage kind of reduces your benefits. So if your child gets married, they will not ever qualify for SSDI benefits under your record. And they cannot have worked enough to earn that substantial gainful amount, because at that point they've shown that they can work, so they would not be eligible for your Social Security benefits. So the way it works is, that parent turns on their Social Security because either they're going to start drawing their retirement benefits or they have become disabled. Your child will start getting a benefit that is equal to half of your payment. So let's say you turn on your retirement benefit and you're getting $4,000 a month. I'm using easy round numbers to do the math. You're getting $4,000 a month because you're in your late 60s. You turn on your Social Security retirement benefit from the government. You're getting $4,000 a month. Your child will get $2,000 a month, and you still get your full $4,000 a month payment. But now your child is getting $2,000 a month. Clearly, that's way more than they're going to get from SSI. So the SSI benefit will turn off. Medicaid stays on. And now they're getting $2,000 a month. After they've been receiving that $2,000 a month for 24 months, they will be able to get Medicare. Then they're going to be dual eligible with Medicaid and Medicare at that point. When you pass away as the parent, your child's benefit will go from 50% of your income to 75%. So their benefit will go from $2,000 a month to $3,000, and they will get that benefit for the rest of their lives. So it's really important that you maximize those benefits to make sure that your child gets the most that they possibly can for the rest of their lives. Now, if you have more than one child with a disability, you could run into a situation where you are butting up against the family maximum. There is a family maximum for Social Security benefits, including SSI and SSDI, retirement, disability, all of that. So if you have a spouse receiving spousal benefits or child and care benefits, and then you have a child receiving disabled adult child benefits, or two children, you're going to have a lot of people drawing off of one person's record. You could run up against the family maximum limit. And I believe that limit is about 180% of the complete benefit. Okay, so we can help you figure that out. We can help you watch out for that. It's just be careful with that. So how do you protect those benefits and make sure that your child does still get their SSI and SSDI and Medicaid and Medicare? You protect your child's benefits by making sure that they are still eligible for those things and making sure that your child's assets don't go above $2,000. What can you do? I mean, your child's going to start getting almost $1,000 a month when they turn 18. And if they don't spend it all, their bank account is going to grow pretty quick. That's when you need to make sure that your child does not have more than those assets. They can have their money saved in a special needs trust or an ABLE account. Make sure your child's name is not the beneficiary on any life insurance, investment, or bank accounts, and that any well-meaning family members who want to leave your child money know that it has to go to the right buckets. It has to go to a special needs trust or to an ABLE account, or else it will jeopardize their benefits. So let's get into the ABLE account. ABLE account. Your child can have money in an ABLE account. It will not count against them for SSI or waivers or Medicaid or anything. Even though they're the account owner and they are the beneficiary of the account, these are designed specifically for people with a disability. So you may have heard of a 529 college savings plan. That's a 529C where you can save money to be used for educational expenses only. An ABLE account is very similar. It's a different section of the same 529 tax code. You are able to save money for an individual with a disability that they can use on anything. It's not just for educational expenses. An ABLE account is a 529A, A for ABLE, right? C for college. There are contribution limits and distribution rules. Contributions are not tax deductible federally, although some states do allow for that. And what happens is you put your money into the ABLE account. They take out a maintenance fee at the beginning, and then the rest of that money goes to buy mutual funds. The mutual funds grow, and the income that is produced is not taxable. So you earn money that is not taxable, and your child can use that through their ABLE account. ABLE accounts are only for disabled individuals who became disabled before age 26. You can put $18,000 in for 2024. Next year, that amount is going to go up a little bit. You never want your ABLE account to go above $100,000 total. And this is another example of what can happen legally versus what should happen based on the rules and regulations surrounding special needs topics. So most states, you can put $400,000 or $500,000 into your ABLE account. But it takes a qualified expert in the special needs world to know that you can legally have $400,000 or $500,000 in your ABLE account. But if you do that, you're going to lose out on your other benefits. If you want to keep SSI and Medicaid and Medicare, you cannot have more than $100,000 in your ABLE account, okay? Those, again, they grow tax-free. You can take distributions from your ABLE account with no penalties as long as you use that money on your child, as long as it's something that will help them have a better life. ABLE literally stands for Achieving a Better Living Experience. So if you can say, yes, this money went to help my child achieve a better life experience, then you can use it on them. Now, remember, I told you about that Medicaid reimbursement clause that happens with the first party special needs trust. It's the same with the ABLE account. There is a clause that says once your child passes away, if there is still money in that ABLE account, then Medicaid can come claim reimbursement from the ABLE account. You can use your ABLE account to pay really for anything. Financial management services like what we offer at Consolidated Planning Group, transportation, education, training, adaptive devices, cars, computers, vacation, legal expenses, personal support systems. You can use the ABLE account to pay for housing and rent, cash, groceries, clothing, really anything. It won't cause any disruption to your Medicaid or SSI benefits. Now, these are where the two things are very different. The ABLE account, there are limits on how much you can put in, but it will not cause problems with SSI or anything else, no matter what you spend it on, as long as it's for your child. With the special needs trust, those rules are kind of flipped. There's no limit on how much you can put into the special needs trust. But while your child is still getting SSI, you should not use your special needs trust to pay for rent, mortgage payments, real estate taxes, anything related to their shelter, utilities, condo fees, mortgage insurance premiums, homeowners insurance that is required by your lender for the house. You cannot pay for any of these things with your special needs trust if you are still on SSI, because it will cause a 1/3 reduction to the SSI payment, right? So I hope you're following along with me. ABLE account, a limit on how much you can put in, no limit on what you can spend it on. Special needs trust, no limit on how much you can put in, but there are limits on how much you can spend it on if you are on SSI. Okay, let's get to some of these questions. We lost SSI benefits because my son inherited money through my husband, but was listed for benefit of. We withdrew the money. Can we reapply for SSI? You can try. You can try to reapply for SSI benefits and appeal that decision that they previously made. Minnie, you might want to make sure that you talk it over with us at Consolidated Planning Group. We do offer a free consultation for anyone. So you can ask us that and we can get into the nitty-gritty of your situation with you and try to see exactly what happened there. Can you open a special needs trust for an adult sibling? Yes, anyone can have a special needs trust as long as their disability started before they turned 26 years old. Now, I have heard that that rule is going to change in 2025 to go up to where you can have a disability that started before you were like 46 or in your 50s. I don't remember exactly what that's supposed to change to. But those rules are supposed to be changing. But yes, you can open it for an adult sibling. They receive, when your child starts receiving your Social Security benefits, it is based on the benefit that you would get at your full retirement age. If you turn on your benefits early and you switch your child to SSDI, they would still go ahead and base your child's benefit on your full retirement age. However, on the flip side, if you wait until after your full retirement age, your amount goes up a little bit, your child's amount will not go up. It will still be only based on your full retirement age. Sometimes it's more beneficial for families to turn on their benefits even before you hit your full retirement age because of the other benefits that your family can get through Social Security. We do a Social Security maximization where we balance all of those benefits and we look at, child and care benefit, spousal benefits, the benefit that your child can draw, and the benefits that you get. And we measure as a family how you can get the most benefit from Social Security. And by turning it on at the optimal time, we can save your family tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars over the lifetime of those payments, depending on our suggestions. So that's kind of a cool tool that we have in place for our clients. What if their name is on the bank account for SSDI? If your child's name is on their bank account, which it should be, and they're getting SSDI, it depends how much they're getting and what other programs they're on. I'm not exactly sure, Arlie, what benefits they are on and what question you're asking, but I can walk you through that. Can you transfer money from a college account to an ABLE account? Yes, Sandra. If you've already put maybe a 529 college account in place for your child, and now you're seeing that maybe they're not going to go to college, maybe it would be better for them to have that money in an ABLE account. It is very easy to switch, to roll that money from the college account to the ABLE account for your child. Isn't the age requirement? Yes, I just talked about that. Okay, if your laptop battery runs out and you have to leave, we'll send this recording to you later. What about a company that opens a 401k for your working disabled child? Is that going to go against their SSI? Yes, it could. Very well could. If your child is working and they have a 401k, you certainly need to set up an appointment with Consolidated Planning Group so that we can walk you through what needs to happen, because that could cut them off from SSI and Medicaid benefits. You can have both a special needs trust and an ABLE account. They work together. They work very well together because one account can do some things, the other account can do other things. You can transfer money back and forth. It's good to have both. It's very important to have both. We feel like the ABLE account is more like a save to spend, and the special needs trust is like far future stuff. So basically, like, let's say the next question says, what about using her trust to pay for a $2,000 car repair? So a couple of things are happening there. If you need the car repair to pay, you need the car because you need to cart your child around and take them transportation and whatever. Yeah, you can use the money from her ABLE account or her special needs trust to pay for car repairs if you have to. Now, if your child were paying for that car repair, maybe it's her car, and you have to transfer, let's say it's $3,000 from her ABLE account to her bank account to pay the mechanic, that is fine as long as you get that money back out of her account before the end of the month. So if you transfer money to her account on April 1st, it's okay. It will not count against her unless you don't get it out before the end of April. Now, if you transfer that money to her account on the last day of April, and you don't get it out of her account until May 1st, you are going to be in trouble. You have to do it within the same calendar month. Okay, so I think I answered 2 or 3 questions in one swoop there. So Karen, I hope I answered your question. You can spend money from the special needs trust on anything except housing. So car, computer, anything until your child is off of SSI. So let's put this into practice in our brains. Your child's on SSI, you're alive, you're helping them, you're paying their rent, or they're paying you rent because they're living at your house, whatever. You are starting to get towards the end of your life and you're realizing you're not going to be around forever. So you want your child to transfer over to a residential community. They move from your house to a residential community. You're still helping them pay for things. You're still here. And then you pass away. When you pass away, your child, if they weren't already on your Social Security, they're going to go on to your Social Security. And all of a sudden, they're going to switch from SSI benefits to SSDI. They're not going to need to follow that rule anymore that their special needs trust cannot pay for housing. So that's why it's okay, because your child's going to be switching from SSDI. They don't have to follow that rule anymore about not paying for housing through their special needs trust. Are you following me? So it will all be okay. Okay, so I'm trying to get the slides. I'm trying to get questions. We're at 2 minutes out. So listen, I don't think I'm going to get to all of the questions and everything I wanted to talk about. So let me switch to this slide. I want you to schedule your free consultation. You can use the QR code to do that. You can call the office, or you can call me directly. I put my number and email address in the chat box. I'm going to do that again right now. Contact me directly and I would be happy to set up your free consultation. Okay. And if I don't get to your question here, I can answer it during our Zoom chat. It's completely free. There's no reason for you not to schedule. We will be following up with you to make sure that your question got answered and that you scheduled your consultation. Okay, so let's look at this question. If your child has a presumptive diagnosis, they turn 18 on March 22nd. You complete that application on March 23rd. But should I make an appointment with Social Security in January to meet with Social Security in April? How booked out are they? You can try, but you do not typically have to go into the Social Security office if you start your application online. You might only need to do a phone consultation, in which case they can get to you a lot quicker. But if you start trying to fill out that online application before their birthday, even if it's just to set up an appointment with them, you're going to be in trouble. Start the online application the day after their birthday. You can call to set up an appointment for yourself, but you might be causing more stress for yourself than is even necessary because most people do not have to go into the office at all. Okay, thank you. Starting January 1st, 2026, the age for the ABLE account is going up to 46. It is best to apply for SSI online. Don't go in if you don't have to. Can a trust established for a grandchild upon death be transferred to the ABLE account? Julia, it can if needed, but it's really probably better that you just leave that money in the special needs trust. Let your child use that and save that up for the future because that's when they're going to really need it. When there is no more adult helping them or taking care of them, that's when they really need that special needs trust. While they still have an adult parent or grandparent or someone helping them, they really don't need the trust as much. What is a benefits planning query and how does it help? So that's the BPQY you can order from the Social Security Administration, and that helps us understand what benefits your child should be eligible for and when and why. And it is a very important document. So if you can ask for your BPQY from the Social Security office, that will help you understand and help us understand all of your benefits. Okay. Thank you. Thank you again so much for joining me. Please schedule your free consultation. If you want to contact me directly, I will schedule your consultation for you. The links down here, there's a link to our YouTube channel, our Instagram, the podcast, and our Facebook page. And all of these are places where you can get help from us. Okay, we are here to help you. We are here to answer all of your questions, and I promise we don't bite. So schedule your free consultation today, right now, if possible. Tell them Michelle sent you. And I look forward to meeting with all of you and to helping you out with your concerns. Thanks a lot, everybody. Bye-bye.